What if everything you thought about power was a lie? Imagine for a moment, you're in a room filled with the so-called powerful people, CEOs, politicians, influencers. They walk in with their tailored suits and perfect smiles. But here's the twist. Strip away the titles, the wealth, the applause. What's left? Are they truly powerful, or are they just playing a role? Now here's the real kicker. Nietzsche believed that true power has nothing to do with the spotlight, the followers, or even control over others. Instead, it's something far more personal, far more uncomfortable. So ask yourself, if you were stripped of everything you own, every bit of status, could you still call yourself powerful? This isn't just a philosophy lesson. This is a challenge, because the answer could completely change the way you see strength, success, and yes, even yourself. Here's the thing about power. It's one of the most misunderstood ideas out there. Society sells us this shiny, prepackaged image of what power looks like. Being the loudest voice in the room, owning the biggest mansion on the block, racking up the most likes and followers. It's all about dominance, control, and status. But here's the uncomfortable truth. Most of us have been duped. Think about it. From the moment we're old enough to tie our shoes, we're fed this idea that success equals power and power equals happiness. So we hustle, we climb the corporate ladder, collect accolades, and buy things we don't need to impress people we don't even like. Yet despite all of that, so many people wake up one day feeling empty. Why? Because the kind of power society sells is as hollow as a chocolate Easter bunny. Nietzsche had a word for this. He called it the herd mentality. You know, that tendency to follow the crowd, to chase after what everyone else is chasing without stopping to ask, wait, is this even what I want? According to Nietzsche, the herd mentality isn't just a bad habit, it's a trap. It keeps us stuck, constantly comparing ourselves to others and measuring our worth by someone else's yardstick. Let's take a relatable example. Picture someone you know, or maybe even yourself, who's obsessed with their job title. They work insane hours, skip vacations, and sacrifice their health to climb that ladder. Then, when they finally get the promotion they've been chasing, it's underwhelming. It's like opening a beautifully wrapped present and finding socks inside. Nietzsche's philosophy takes a sledgehammer to this idea of power as dominance. For him, true power doesn't come from controlling others. It comes from controlling yourself. He called this the will to power. And no, it's not about power in the traditional sense. It's about growth. It's about mastering your own potential, becoming stronger, smarter, and more resilient, not to outdo others, but to outdo yourself. Here's a modern analogy. Think of the will to power like going to the gym, but for your mind and soul. You're not there to compete with the guy bench pressing twice your weight. You're there to push your own limits, to see how much better you can be than you were yesterday. And when you start living this way, pursuing power not over others but within yourself, you stop caring about what the herd thinks. This shift in perspective is liberating. Suddenly, you don't need the approval of others to feel powerful. You don't need to win every argument, hoard every dollar, or control every situation. Your sense of strength comes from within, and that's something no one can take away from you. So let's stop chasing the myths society sells us about power. Instead, let's take a page from Nietzsche and focus on the kind of power that actually matters. The power to grow, to create, and to live authentically. What is power, really? If we strip away all the noise, the big houses, flashy titles, and approval from the crowd, what's left? Nietzsche had an answer, and it's not what you'd expect. Forget the traditional notions of dominance or brute strength. For Nietzsche, power wasn't about conquering others. It was about conquering yourself. Enter the will to power, Nietzsche's bold and revolutionary idea. At its core, the will to power is the drive to grow, to overcome challenges, and to constantly evolve into a better version of yourself. It's not about external rewards or recognition. It's about an internal, unrelenting push to create meaning in your life. Let's break this down with a story. Imagine a young artist, Sarah. She dreams of becoming a painter, but she's stuck in a 9-to-5 job that drains her energy. Her friends tell her it's too risky to leave a stable job, and her parents warn her about the unpredictable world of art. Now Sarah has two choices. She can follow the herd, stay in her comfort zone, and trade her dreams for security. Or she can embrace the will to power and take the leap into the unknown. If Sarah listens to Nietzsche, she'll take that leap. Because according to him, life isn't about avoiding risks or maintaining the status quo. It's about pushing your boundaries and realizing your full potential. The will to power isn't a safe, easy path. It's the path of struggle, growth, and ultimately fulfillment. But the will to power isn't limited to artists or dreamers. It applies to every aspect of life. Think about your career. Are you staying in a job that no longer challenges you because it's comfortable? Or are you seeking opportunities that force you to grow, even if they're uncomfortable? Consider your relationships. Are you settling for connections that drain you or hold you back? Or are you striving for relationships that inspire you, challenge you, and push you to be better? The will to power isn't about seeking comfort. It's about seeking growth, even when it's messy or painful. What makes Nietzsche's philosophy so relevant today is how it reframes ambition. In a world obsessed with comparisons and external validation, the will to power shifts the focus inward. It's not about being the best in the world, it's about being the best version of yourself. Here's another example. Think about fitness. The will to power isn't about hitting a specific number on the scale or outperforming someone else at the gym. It's about setting your own goals, showing up every day, and pushing yourself a little further than you did yesterday. Nietzsche believed that this relentless drive to improve is what makes life meaningful. It's not the rewards at the end of the journey that matter most. It's the journey itself, the struggle, the failures, the small victories along the way. That's where true power lies. But here's the catch. The will to power isn't for the faint of heart. It requires courage. Courage to challenge your own beliefs, to step outside your comfort zone, and to embrace uncertainty. Nietzsche argued that most people avoid this path because it's hard. It's much easier to follow the crowd, to seek approval, and to settle for mediocrity. Yet for those who embrace it, the will to power offers something far greater than comfort. It offers a life of meaning, purpose, and authentic strength. It's about creating your own values, charting your own path, and living a life that's truly your own. So when you hear the phrase will to power, don't think of domination or control. Think of growth. Think of the quiet strength it takes to face your fears, to rise after failure, and to keep moving forward, no matter how tough the road gets. That's the essence of Nietzsche's philosophy, and it's a philosophy that challenges us all to rise to our potential. Power. Most of us think we know what it looks like. A CEO commanding an empire, a celebrity admired by millions. But Nietzsche would argue otherwise. For him, true power isn't about what you control, it's about who you become. It's about self-mastery, resilience, and the strength to transform yourself, no matter the odds. Take Ethan, for example. Ethan was a software developer in a comfortable job. From the outside, he seemed to have it all: a steady paycheck, job security, and a clear career path. But inside, he felt empty. His work no longer challenged him, and he realized he'd been coasting through life, avoiding risks and settling for mediocrity. One day, Ethan read a quote that stopped him in his tracks. "That which does not kill us makes us stronger." Nietzsche's words planted a seed. What if he embraced discomfort instead of running from it? What if, instead of settling for ease, he chased the challenge that scared him the most? That's when Ethan decided to take control. He left his secure job to start a small company developing innovative AI tools, an area that fascinated him, but where he had little experience. At first, it was chaos. He made mistakes, struggled to find clients, and even doubted himself. But each failure taught him something new, and slowly his confidence grew. The most important transformation, however, wasn't in his career. It was in Ethan himself. The risk, the failures, and the constant need to adapt forced him to confront his fears and weaknesses head-on. Over time, he became stronger, more creative, and more resilient. He didn't just build a business, he built a better version of himself. Ethan's journey reflects Nietzsche's idea that true power isn't about domination or control. It's about transformation. It's the courage to face challenges, embrace uncertainty, and grow stronger in the process. Now think about your own life. What are the challenges you've been avoiding? Maybe it's pursuing a passion you've put on hold, stepping into a leadership role you don't feel ready for, or letting go of a relationship that's holding you back. True power isn't about staying comfortable or taking the easy road. It's about leaning into the discomfort, using every setback as fuel for growth. It's about choosing the harder path, not because it's easy, but because it's worth it. This isn't about chasing perfection. In fact, Nietzsche believed perfection was a trap. The goal isn't to be flawless, it's to be evolving. It's about waking up every day and asking, how can I be better than I was yesterday? Here's another story. Mia was an introverted high school teacher who hated public speaking. Whenever she stood in front of her class, her hands shook and her voice wavered. But she wanted to make a real impact on her students, and she knew she had to push through her fear. Instead of avoiding public speaking, Mia leaned into it. She joined a local debate club, started hosting small workshops, and even volunteered to give a talk at a community event. The first few times were a disaster, but slowly she got better. Her voice grew steadier, her presence more confident. Mia didn't just conquer her fear of public speaking, she transformed her relationship with fear itself. She learned that fear wasn't an enemy to be avoided, but a signal of where she needed to grow. That's Nietzsche's philosophy of power in action, turning challenges into opportunities for transformation. It's easy to look at people like Ethan or Mia and assume they're extraordinary. But the truth is, their strength doesn't come from talent or luck. It comes from embracing the will to power, choosing growth over comfort every single day. This shift in mindset changes everything. It turns failures into lessons, setbacks into stepping stones, and discomfort into a sign that you're on the right track. So what does true power look like in practice? It looks like resilience in the face of failure, courage in the face of fear, and a relentless drive to become the person you're meant to be. And the best part? This kind of power isn't reserved for a select few. It's available to anyone willing to embrace the challenge. Imagine this. You're sitting on a couch, binge watching your favorite show, with snacks within arm's reach. Life feels easy, right? Comfortable. But Nietzsche would look at that cozy scene and shake his head. For him, comfort is the silent thief of potential. It lulls you into complacency, convincing you that good enough is, well, good enough. And that's the enemy of growth. Take a moment to think about the last time you truly felt alive. Was it during a quiet evening of Netflix and snacks? Or was it during a moment of challenge, when you pushed yourself to achieve something you weren't sure you could? Nietzsche believed that life's greatest rewards lie beyond the comfort zone. He famously critiqued what he called the last man, a person content to live a safe, predictable life, free from struggle or ambition. The last man avoids risks, craves security, and fears discomfort. Sound familiar? Look around and you'll see modern society rewarding this mindset. Easy entertainment, fast food, instant gratification. It's all designed to keep you comfortable. But here's the irony. The more you chase comfort, the emptier you feel. Take Dylan, for example. Dylan had a stable job in an office, working the classic 9-to-5 grind. His evenings were a blur of takeout and social media scrolling. On paper, his life looked fine, but deep down, Dylan felt stuck, like he was on a treadmill, running but getting nowhere. One day, while scrolling through his phone, he stumbled across a quote: "The snake that cannot shed its skin perishes." Nietzsche's words hit him like a bolt of lightning. He realized that his obsession with comfort was killing his potential. Dylan decided to shake things up. He started waking up early to work on a side hustle, something he was passionate about but had always put off because it seemed too hard. He replaced his mindless social media habits with reading books that challenged his thinking. Was it easy? Absolutely not. But for the first time in years, Dylan felt alive. The truth is, comfort isn't just harmless, it's dangerous. It creates a false sense of security that keeps you from reaching your full potential. Nietzsche believed that struggle and discomfort weren't obstacles to a meaningful life. They were prerequisites. Think about it. Muscles grow stronger when they face resistance. The same goes for your mind, your character, and your ambitions. Without challenges, you stagnate. And stagnation is the slow death of greatness. But here's where it gets tricky. Mediocrity doesn't announce itself with a big flashing sign. It sneaks in quietly, disguised as convenience and ease. It tells you that you've earned your rest, that it's okay to settle, that there's always tomorrow. And before you know it, tomorrow becomes next year, and next year becomes never. Nietzsche's critique of mediocrity isn't just philosophical, it's personal. He challenges you to confront the ways you've been settling in your own life. What opportunities have you passed up because they seem too risky? What dreams have you shelved because pursuing them felt uncomfortable? Now, this isn't about self-flagellation, it's about self-awareness. Nietzsche didn't believe in beating yourself up over past mistakes. Instead, he encouraged people to use discomfort as a compass, guiding them toward the areas where they need to grow. But don't confuse this with hustle culture. Nietzsche's philosophy isn't about grinding yourself into the ground for the sake of productivity. It's about finding meaning in the struggle. It's about embracing the challenges that force you to evolve into a stronger, more resilient version of yourself. Consider this. Every story worth telling involves conflict. The hero faces obstacles, setbacks, and moments of doubt. But that's what makes their journey inspiring. Without struggle, there's no transformation. And without transformation, there's no power. So what's your story? Are you the last man, content to live a life of comfort and mediocrity? Or are you willing to step into the arena, knowing it won't be easy, but trusting that the struggle will be worth it? Here's the uncomfortable truth. Growth and comfort cannot coexist. If you're not challenging yourself, you're not growing. And if you're not growing, you're not truly living. The good news is, it's never too late to shed your old skin. The first step is recognizing the areas where you've been settling, and then doing something about it. Start small if you have to, but start, because in the end, the choice is yours. You can stay in the comfort zone, safe but stagnant, or you can step into the unknown, embrace the struggle, and discover what you're truly capable of. Let's shift from theory to practice. Nietzsche's philosophy wasn't meant to sit idly in books. It's a call to action, a blueprint for turning potential into mastery. At its core, it's about one thing: harnessing the will to power. But how does that look in everyday life? Let's break it down. First, let's address the elephant in the room: self-discipline. Nietzsche believed that true power begins with mastering yourself. Think about it. How can you expect to influence the world if you can't even control your own impulses? Take Marcus, for instance. He had a bad habit of hitting snooze at least 5 times every morning. It felt harmless, but deep down, he knew it was a symptom of a bigger issue: his inability to stick to commitments. Inspired by Nietzsche's ideas, Marcus decided to reclaim control. He started small, just waking up at the same time every day. Over time, this simple act of discipline snowballed into bigger changes, like sticking to workout routines and tackling long-neglected goals. The key here? Start small, but stay consistent. Nietzsche wasn't about overnight transformations. He was about enduring effort, the kind that reshapes you over time. Next, let's talk about challenges. Nietzsche famously said, "That which does not kill us makes us stronger." It's a cliche now, but only because it's true. Challenges aren't obstacles, they're opportunities. They force you to stretch beyond your current limits. Imagine you're at the gym. The weights you lift don't magically get lighter. You get stronger. Life works the same way. But here's the catch. Most people avoid challenges like the plague. They choose the easy road, the path of least resistance. Nietzsche would call this a betrayal of your potential. So here's a practical takeaway. Seek out discomfort. Sign up for that course you've been avoiding because it feels too hard. Have the tough conversation you've been putting off. Push yourself, not recklessly, but intentionally. Now let's tackle one of Nietzsche's most underrated tools for mastery: embracing struggle. He didn't see struggle as something to endure. He saw it as something to embrace. Why? Because struggle shapes you. It teaches you resilience, creativity, and grit. Think about it. Some of history's greatest figures, people like Beethoven, Frida Kahlo, and Nikola Tesla, created their most profound work in the face of immense struggle. They didn't wait for perfect conditions. They used their pain and challenges as fuel. Nietzsche challenges us to do the same. Instead of asking, "Why is this happening to me?" ask, What is this teaching me? It's a subtle shift, but it changes everything. And here's where Nietzsche gets truly radical. He believed that power isn't just about external achievements. It's about creating meaning in your life. This isn't about chasing someone else's definition of success. It's about defining your own. Let's say you're stuck in a job that feels meaningless. Nietzsche would argue that the problem isn't the job, it's your mindset. Instead of seeing it as a dead end, see it as a stepping stone. Use it as a tool to fund your passions, to develop skills, or to build connections. You're not stuck unless you choose to be. But what about failure? Nietzsche would say, good. Fail often. Why? Because failure is feedback. It's a sign that you're trying, that you're pushing boundaries. Every failure carries a lesson, if you're willing to learn from it. Finally, let's address the elephant in the room, comparison. Nietzsche wasn't a fan of measuring yourself against others. He believed the only competition that matters is the one you have with yourself. Are you better today than you were yesterday? That's the only metric worth tracking. So, what does the path to power really look like? It's not flashy, it's not easy, it's messy, uncomfortable, and filled with setbacks. But it's also deeply rewarding. It's about showing up every day, doing the work, and trusting the process, even when the results aren't immediately visible. Here's the kicker. Nietzsche didn't want you to just think about power, he wanted you to live it, to embody it. And that starts with one simple question. What's one thing you can do today, right now, that will move you closer to mastery? As you reflect on that, keep this in mind. The path to power isn't a straight line. It's a winding road, filled with detours and challenges. But every step, every struggle, every failure brings you closer to the person you're meant to become. And with that, let's turn to a truth Nietzsche hinted at, but rarely spelled out. A truth that might just change how you see everything. So you've done it. You've taken Nietzsche's blueprint for power, faced your struggles, mastered yourself, and now you're standing on the mountaintop. But what does life look like when you embody true power? Spoiler alert, it's not all sunshine and applause. Let's start with the good stuff. When you become truly powerful in Nietzschean terms, you'll notice a profound shift in how you experience life. Your confidence isn't loud or performative. It's quiet, unshakable. You stop needing validation from others because you're rooted in your own sense of purpose. Imagine this. You're in a meeting and someone throws a passive-aggressive comment your way. You might have fumed about it for hours, replaying the moment in your head. New you. You smile, maybe even chuckle internally, because their opinion has zero power over you. That's true power, not reacting to the noise of the world, but moving through it with calm authority. But here's the twist. With great power comes not so great expectations. When you embody true strength, people start projecting their insecurities onto you. They'll misinterpret your calm as arrogance or your decisiveness as ruthlessness. Nietzsche would say, let them, because their perception says more about them than it does about you. Now here's where it gets tricky. True power is liberating, yes, but it's also lonely. Nietzsche wasn't shy about pointing this out. When you step away from the herd, you'll find fewer people who truly understand you. They're still playing by the old rules, chasing approval, avoiding discomfort, while you've rewritten the game entirely. This doesn't mean you're doomed to solitude, though. It just means you'll attract a different kind of tribe. Instead of surface-level connections, you'll form relationships with people who match your energy. Those who challenge you, inspire you, and push you to grow even further. And then there's the responsibility. Power isn't just about you, it's about what you do with it. Nietzsche believed that those who attain true strength have a duty, not to control others, but to create, to shape the world in a way that reflects your values and vision. Take someone like Elon Musk, love him or hate him. He's not sitting back, sipping margaritas on a private island. He's building rockets and brainstorming ideas that sound straight out of a sci-fi novel. That's the thing about true power. It drives you to do more, to be more, not because you have to, but because you can. But let's not sugarcoat it. Power also magnifies your flaws. If you're not careful, it's easy to veer into arrogance or isolation. Nietzsche would warn you against this. The goal isn't to dominate, It's to elevate, not just yourself, but those around you. And let's talk about challenges. When you reach this level, life doesn't suddenly become easier. In fact, the challenges often grow. People will question your motives, resist your ideas, and sometimes even try to tear you down. Nietzsche would call this resistance another opportunity for growth, because true power isn't about avoiding conflict, it's about navigating it with grace. Here's the ultimate paradox of true power. The more you achieve it, the less you need it. Sounds confusing, right? But think about it. When you're truly powerful, you're no longer driven by a need to prove yourself. You're not chasing titles, wealth, or recognition. Instead, you're driven by a deeper sense of purpose. And that's what makes it so transformative. True power doesn't just change how the world sees you, it changes how you see the world. Challenges become opportunities. Criticism becomes noise. And life, it becomes an adventure. Not because it's easy, but because you've learned to thrive in the difficulty. So what happens when you become truly powerful? You realize that the journey wasn't about reaching the top of the mountain. It was about who you became along the way. The struggles, the setbacks, the moments of doubt, they weren't distractions. They were the path itself. And now, standing at this new vantage point, you're faced with a question. What will you do with this power? Will you use it to build, to inspire, to create? Or will you let it stagnate, allowing comfort to creep back in? Because here's the truth Nietzsche would want you to remember. True power isn't a destination. It's a state of becoming. And the moment you stop growing, you start losing it. So here we are. After all this talk of Nietzsche, the will to power, and the pursuit of self-mastery, the spotlight turns to you. Because here's the thing, no one else can walk this path for you. The power you seek, it's already within you. The only question is, are you willing to claim it? Think about your life for a moment. What's holding you back? Fear of failure? The need for approval? The safety of the familiar? Nietzsche would tell you that these are illusions, chains we choose to wear because breaking them feels too uncomfortable. But here's the truth. Comfort is the enemy of greatness, and mediocrity is the slow death of the soul. You've felt it, haven't you? That quiet voice in the back of your mind, whispering that you're meant for more. Not more in the sense of possessions or titles, but more in the sense of becoming. Nietzsche called it the overman, the person who rises above mediocrity, who transforms struggle into strength and chaos into creation. This isn't about following someone else's blueprint. It's not about Nietzsche's path or anyone else's. It's about finding your own. What will you do to shape the life you were meant to live? What's one thing, just one, that you can do today to move closer to your highest potential? Maybe it's stepping into a fear you've been avoiding. Maybe it's letting go of something or someone that's keeping you stuck. Maybe it's as simple as taking an honest look in the mirror and asking, am I living or am I just existing? Whatever it is, own it. Because the world doesn't need more spectators. It needs creators, disruptors, people who are willing to live with intention and courage. Nietzsche didn't write to comfort us. He wrote to challenge us, to provoke us, to wake us up. So here's the challenge I'll leave you with. Don't just let this be another video you watch and forget. Take it as a call to action, a call to rise above the noise, to shatter the limits you've placed on yourself, and to become the person you've always known you could be. The power is yours. The only question is, will you take it? Now go, do the hard thing, face the struggle, and remember, it's in the fire of difficulty that true strength is forged.